approaches from the left, he'll get the airplane
I guess I do all the
gear
central
sucked up
stuff,
in it, and watch the T-6 Texan II as it approaches from the right. Now it's time for us to go live to the cockpit and say hello to Mike Rambo. Hello, Mike Rambo. Welcome to Pensacola.
Thank you, Rob. Glad to be here.
Well, you got the T-6C Texan II, and we're ready to see an incredible demonstration of the new trainer for the Army, the Air Force, and the Marine Corps, and a lot of other air forces around the world as well.
That is correct, Rob. It is a pleasure for Beechcraft Company to bring this out here to you today. It's our tribute to the men and women of our armed forces.
All right, sir, I'll let you climb, and I got Boss Bartlett here with me. We'll be talking about you behind your back.
Outstanding. Say good things for me, and we're going to put on a good show. We'll see you then.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome former Blue Angels commander and flight leader. His name's Russ Bartlett, and he is now president of Hawker Beechcraft Defense Company, and I'm so glad you're here, boss.
Thanks, Rob. Good to be here. Good morning.
All right, you've got an airplane here that has changed the way the Air Force and the Navy and the Marine Corps and a lot of other air forces teach pilots to fly, haven't you?
Absolutely. It's easy to fly, but it's very sophisticated with a glass cockpit just like a fighter.
Now, the T-6A is the one that won the Joint Primary Air Training System, or JPATS competition. Hawker Beechcraft has continuously upgraded from the A to the B and to the C. What's different about the C?
Well, the original A model is what the Air Force bought, and we sold 500 of those. And the Navy, my good friends in the Navy, upgraded the cockpit to the Class 1 you see in front of you in the T-6B and C.
Now, as Mike Rambo, call sign Gameshow, dives in, he's going to demonstrate the capabilities, but that's got some great speed.
It does. It's about 350 miles.
So that's close to 375 miles an hour, right?
It is.
And it's what, it's not only high performance and fast, but it's also docile enough as a primary trainer.
It is. It's very forgiving, very easy to fly. Even if you make it spin, you just release the controls and it'll recover itself.
Hawker Beechcraft, world-leading manufacturer. It's the cradle of airplane building in the United States, right at Wichita, Kansas.
It sure is. Even the T-34s that were retiring from the Navy was a Beechcraft product way back in the early 60s.
You know, it was a replacement not only for that aircraft, but for another Wichita-based company, Cessna Aircraft, and the Air Force's twin-jet T-37s. And as good as those airplanes were for many, many years, it turns out it's really something that's very, very important, that economy be part of the equation.
Absolutely. I think the world has gone to turboprops. The jet trainers are too expensive. It's pulling the training spectrum, so the turboprops are the way to go.
Now, the JPATS program, the Joint Primary Air Training System program, goes just beyond the aircraft itself. You've got some simulators to help as well?
It's the whole package: simulators, ground-based training, computer-aided instruction. As you would expect, these kids grew up with the PlayStation, so we do that at work too.
Now let's watch the aircraft as he pulls up toward the vertical. That's a Pratt & Whitney Canada PT6 turboprop. How many shaft horsepower?
It is. It's 1,100 shaft horsepower.
Now Rambo will continue on. He'll pull back through. It's amazing with a straight wing how fast it looks like it's going, how quiet it is. But this aircraft will be used by the Air Force and the Navy and the Marine Corps for many, many years to come.
At least through 2050.
2050, so that'll give it a better than a 35-year service life.
It will. You see the T-38 out on a flight line, that's a 50-year-old airplane too.
Yeah, and those T-38s that have been flying with the fleet, they have average of 15,000 hours on every one of those airplanes, and it's a way that the Navy and the Marine Corps and the Air Force have taken care of these very, very important airplanes, and this one is going to be a performer, as you see, to the year 2050. He rolls it on its back. Now watch him. This is called a split S, or a half a vertical S in the sky, or in aerobatic circles and air shows, they call it a reverse Cuban 8. Up to 45, roll the airplane on its back and pull back through. Rambo's been with you you guys for a while, but he used to fly this airplane for the Air Force in the demos.
He did do the T-6C for the Air Force for 5 years.
Now this super slow roll, that's a tough to do in any airplane, right?
It is. And it's a slow roll, so you got to keep the nose above the horizon while you're upside down.
And work the rudder so it hits a straight line. What a talented dude he is. All right, boss, when you're watching the Blue Angels, would the Blue Angels ever fly something like this?
If they want to, we'll make them for them. The Israeli Air Force flies their 4-plane demo in the T-6.
Now watch him as he dives back in. The air capital of the world, Wichita, Kansas, and that name Beechcraft is the brainchild of Walter Beach and his partner, Oliver Beach. And back in the 1930s, early 1930s, in the depths of the Depression, they decided to start a company, and nobody thought they could do it, but they did.
They did, and we're still kicking. And Wichita's done a good job in the recession here, staying on top of things.
Now, how many other Air Forces are flying the Texan II?
7 others besides ours.
Now, let's keep an eye on him as he dives back in. All of those other Air Forces see the value of the turboprop, the economy, the reliability. Now, the T-6C, Russ, has that heads-up display, which is so very important to the fighter pilot.
It does, and that was a part of
In addition to that heads-up display that projects on a piece of glass the pertinent flight information for the pilot of airspeed, attitude, altitude, and rate of climb and heading. It also has something called HOTAS, or hands on throttle and stick. What's that about?
It's essentially what you'd see in a Hornet or a Super Hornet. It allows the pilot to see all the important things above, up top and with his hands, so he doesn't have to look inside the cockpit to find important information.
So the buttons on the throttle and the stick enable him to operate, or her, to operate all of those necessary systems, not only as an airplane, but as a weapons system.
That's right, so he doesn't have to look down in the cockpit to fight the airplane.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, he has done his goodbye. He's going to bring it into land here very shortly, but he is flying the newest version of the Texan II, one of only a handful of airplanes that have got hand-me-down names from the most important aircraft in all of the world. The original Texan being the North American Texan, now Hawker Beechcraft with the Texan II, and it's great to have you here, Russ Bartlett, to talk to us about this very, very important airplane for the United States Navy, the Marine Corps, and so many other services.
Thanks, Rob. It's a pleasure.
Boss, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in a round of applause for former U.S. Navy Commander of the Blue Angels, Russ Bartlett, and also Mike Gameshow Rambo. And boss is keeping an eye, check wheels down, and make sure his heading and everything's right for the landing. He's keeping an eye on him. Got the landing light all going to be down there. All going to work out good. Coming up in just a moment, we are going to take a few moments of break before we do our opening ceremonies and have our national anthem, with the American flag being brought in by the owner and leader of the Emerald Coast Skydivers, MD Mad Dog Evans. He'll bring in a big American flag as Mike Gameshow Rambo touches down and rolls out in the T-6C Texan II. And I think what we're going to do is back him down the runway and give the